Hey, it's Bunny, and I wanted to come on here and just talk about something that like happened, right? And so I'll just get straight into it. So I was needing help about something, and so I knew I had to talk to like a few like people to like get what I needed, right? And so I knew every single time I need something, there's always a guy somewhere to, try and flirt with me and stuff like that. And so I was preparing myself for it, right? And I was like, I thought I nearly got a breakthrough with like getting help for something, right? And he was like, oh, da da da, right? And we were just conversing, and I was just, trying to get what I needed, right? And so I remember this guy was like, "Oh, what's your number?" Da, da, da. And um, I was like, "Oh, I have a boyfriend, da, 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 and serious, I'm not leaving him, none of that, right?" And he's like, "Oh, damn, da, da, da." Is it serious? And I was like, "Yes, it's very serious. I'm dead ass about this, right?" And but like we were talking and he was like, "Oh, that's so crazy because I was with my baby the other like I literally broke up with my girlfriend like um I think he said like a week ago or something or last month, something like that, right?" And he was like, "Oh, just pouring his heart out to me about like the way he was feeling and like not wanting like casual relationships and things like that, right?" I was like, oh yeah, the like maybe I know a girl, who's your type. What's your type, right? And this was after he was hitting on me because I was trying to like direct the conversation and still get what I needed, right? And so he was just like, oh, my type. He said the the colorism crybabies are going to hate this, but he said his type is light skin and like you know, I think he said like a chill girl who doesn't like to party and stuff like that, right? And I was like, yeah, I can't help you. Like, I don't, yeah. The only people I know who are like that are like my cousins, and we don't live anywhere near each other. So it's like, yeah, you're not. Also, he's a stranger, so it's like I'm not introducing you to my cousin. No, thank you. Yeah, but I found it interesting because I was just like, obviously, I'm like brown to like dark skin, and especially with like my photo, right? Like, I darken my photos. Like, I don't, I realize that that's why my skin tone, like, how I perceive my skin tone is a little bit like off sometimes because I'm literally dark in all my photos. Um, because I'm low key mad about being olive tone because at times I look gray and I will stand on that. It annoys me to no end. Like I wanted like and everything is so yellow and orange. Ugh, yeah. Okay, back on topic, right? And so I was like, why would this man say this and at the same time try and hit on me? Why what was that? And I've had an experience I've experienced this a little bit much, right? Where it seems like, oh, this guy has like a well, nobody's ever like told me. I've never experienced a time where except for this, yeah, where a guy was just like, oh, my usual type is like light skinned girls or something like that. But he likes me. Like I've never like experienced that, right? And I've been like trying to figure out my like relationship outcomes and like just exoticals relationship outcomes in general and why they're so different and just just thinking about these things, right? Because with the divestment people and the colorism crybabies, they always talk about dating and relationships. The black community in general loves to talk about 50-50 and all of this stuff. It's so bullshit. But yeah, um I thought about it and I was like, I remember there was this guy, right? And he, his ex-girlfriend, right? I think he just broke up with her, like, but I had known him for a while, right? And the whole time I didn't have like a crush on him or anything, right? But like, I guess I was like, this was my era where I just did not care. I did not care about anything. I was about fun and like I don't know, like I just didn't care to like think about things too much or anything like that. And yeah, so I remember he broke up with her and literally like it was like this whole thing. It was like a whole mess, right? But I remember oh, and his ex-girlfriend is a light-skinned woman, right? And I remember my friend telling me, he was also like a mutual friend of ours, right? And she was just like, "Oh, you know, all the girls that he like nearly leaves his ex for after like they break up or something like that, because there's one of those couples who are like on and off again, and like at the time I didn't know that, right? And so that's how I got myself in that mess, right? And like yeah, all of them were like darker skinned women, right? But his girlfriend's his well, I think they're still I don't know, right? But his ex-girlfriend, right, at that time, um was light skinned, right? So when I hear so many specifically unambiguous dark skinned women thinking, oh, you know, because he has a light skin ex or something like that, or oh, he must prefer a light skinned woman because his current girlfriend is light skinned. It's like men are really fickle. And I know it might seem like, oh, it's just a tiny thing, you know, that guy that, you know, with the situation and like the guy that I talked about, he was like, oh, you know, my type is da da da, right? But I realized they don't really care. Like they just I feel like, you know, when I read the message, right, I was just like, you know, they all say the same like thing, I guess, stereotypically, where unambiguous dark skinned women will say, oh, you know, they men only dark skinned men only want, right, you know, light skinned women with the da da da, right? With a whatever descriptor, whether it's curly hair or whatever, right? But I feel like people are underestimating how much men like move with their types. Like they just don't, in my experience, um, and in general, like I've just seen them not really care much. As long as you're like pretty and you're pretty chill, it's like I don't know. That's why when I think of like, you know, how a lot of dark skinned women have been saying, right? Unambiguous dark skinned women were saying that, you know, that light skinned men don't like them and oh, you know, they're terrible today and stuff like that. And like they're not checking for like dark skinned women and stuff like that. I don't know where these women live. Um, but it's been a struggle to keep light skinned men away from me, especially light skinned mixed men, right? It's weird. And again, I'm darker skinned. So it, according to colorism logic, they should have, you know, want nothing to do with me. But it's like I've seen so many couples, especially with like my parents, right? Because I think I've talked about it before, but my father is like a light skinned man and my mother is a dark skinned woman, right? Both African, but slightly different backgrounds, right? Um, yeah, and it's like, so I've never had this mentality that, oh yeah, he's not gonna like me because of my skin tone or something like that. And I've just never really experienced that. And I thought it was interesting, right? But it made me think, why do people have certain like preferences? And it made me think that, you know, I'm gonna get into my whole spiel right now. But like I feel like with preferences, the way that people Specifically, unambiguous dark skinned women talk about like how dark skinned men have preferences and like, oh, they only want these light skinned women, these mixed women, da da da, right? I feel like the way they talk about it is like it's a light switch. Like you can just turn it off and you'll suddenly like dark skinned women with like frizzy hair and no like racial admixture or mixedness or anything, right? And that's not how preferences work. And I think it's really dumb and really ignorant to say that, you just stop liking them. And I think it's really programmed, obviously, but especially by Corn and Hollywood. Black the black community loves Hollywood. Oh, they eat it up. They love like I realize they look to like media, social media more than they do their real life experiences. And it's very weird to me. It's very weird to me because I feel like it might be, a certain bias in my head where I specifically, when I remember or whatever, non-black people speaking about who's their like beauty ideal or, you know, um, who they prefer or look like and stuff like that, right? I think that a lot of these women or people just in general usually talk about people in their real lives and stuff like that. I feel like, and it also might be a thing of like social media and more people spending time on it, that, they're more engrossed in Hollywood and the media and stuff like that, right? But yeah, I feel like I just hear the most like Instagramiest, influencer Hollywood people that specifically unambiguous black people mention when they talk about their preferences and stuff like that. And it's really weird because like y'all are regular people, but you're looking to people who are, you know, in Hollywood and most of the time MGM because that's the people that I see that y'all are like, you know, chasing behind after, in general. I'm not even just speaking about like a black man or anything like that. I'm speaking directly about dark skinned and unambiguous women because let's be honest, nobody more than anybody is listening to Beyonce more than y'all. More than y'all. No. Y'all are not going to lie to me, right? And it's like weird that y'all say the community is so texturous, colors, etc., right? But are like so surprised, right? They love Hollywood, but they somehow hate texturism and colorism or all of the isms, right? And are so surprised at the community for being texturous and colorist and stuff like that, but are literally fighting tooth and nail to uphold those same standards, right? And we've seen it with with the statue. Y'all, I just I don't have anything to say about that statue. Um, Nothing to do with me. Um, oh my God. That was wicked the way they found out that that's how they're average. That's so funny to me, right? But anyways, right? These are the ideals and standards that they specifically uphold. And it just doesn't make sense to me, right? But let's get into why do people like particularly like lighter skinned women slash people, right? And I've thought about this to an extent, for my content and stuff like that. But I think there are more people who sit in the medium to light skin tone range, right? Particularly women. And I think it's because of factors like skincare, like whether I think women are more likely to wear like SPF and stay out of the sun. And I I know it's not as much as like before probably, but I more men do manual labor than women do. Therefore, I feel like they're going to be more so, more in the sun, you know? So I feel like, yeah, I just like I see more people who are in like a medium to like lighter skin, like tan sort of skin tone range. And I feel like a lot of people um are like overestimating how many people are like firmly light skin or dark skin, right? And yeah, now of course we can go to like colonialism, and I feel like it would have been lucrative to gain proximity to being closer racially to whatever entity was like, colonizing your country, to almost like act as a shield or like safety net for racism and like all that comes with it, obviously. One might even think that some may even have thought to like, I hate to say it, like, but the procreate out the ethnic features as a survival tactic to be able to pass, right? Especially in places like Antebellum South. I know many people use this as a moment to say that people who did this are self-hating and have like really horrible negative opinions about people who are passing, specifically mixed women who were passing, right? But I can't just sit there and hate them. I can't, because if you believe it's life and death based on how you look, right? Based on your race, for not just you, but your living relatives, so your parents and your grandma and whatever, and your lineage to come, right? It begs the question, why would you not make things easier? Why would you not make life easier for you and your lineage, right? And I'm not saying that it's like right, but like let's be realistic of the time that they were living in. And yeah, but I find it odd that a lot of darker skinned women have no problem saying they're not only procreating, but marrying. They're marrying, right? So you're attaching yourself financially and by law, to a man who, let's say, is like MGM or something like that, all because you want children to have good hair and nice eyes and stuff like that. That's the things that I've heard them say. And let's not lie about it, because I've heard it. I've heard it. We've all heard it, right? But the concept of a darker skinned man possibly procreating with a non-black woman is completely evil, self-hating, etc., right? Now I want to make it clear. I think both are fucking weird. I think they're both fucking weird, like super weird. But if we're going to say somebody has self-esteem issues, I feel like we have to address both groups. Like I feel like both of y'all are weird, but like we can't just say, "Oh, you're weird. You're weird over there." No, both of y'all are weird. The black community has this, specifically the unambiguous black community has a severe problem with self-hate. We've seen this for how long? Hence the rise in the ethnic nose jobs and the exoticoplasties I've coined. Yep. And I feel like moving back on to my topic, because like I literally go off topic so much. Oh my god. Like it's my first day back. I feel like it's like my first day back at my job, and I'm like, "Ugh, I don't know what I'm doing again." Yeah. But I feel like people underestimate the scarcity of what I coin the scarcity effect, right? When something is like rare, I feel like it becomes very desirable and then therefore becomes in very high demand, right? So take blondes for instance, right? A genetic mutation caused, blonde hair, light eyes, blue eyes, light skin, sorry, light skin, blue eyes, etc., right? I like people greatly underestimate how much people love uniquely pretty features that otherwise would not have been seen or accessed centuries ago. And of course, like mixed people have existed for centuries, but not to the extent that we see now. I feel like I've seen so many like variations of like features and racial backgrounds that we like years ago, like even 5, 10 years ago, you would not have seen. Like you just would not have seen this, right? Especially since like we can like access so many different types of mixed people, like with the rise of like social media, right? Who come from like polar opposite countries. I heard of a person who was from Antarctica in Nigeria. I Their mother was from Antarctica and their father was Nigerian. And I was like, how are y'all even getting there? I don't understand. Like, I swear to God, how does what? Yeah. Like we're seeing so many different combinations of features. And like it's so beautiful, it's so different and evidently intriguing. I feel like people are not realize well, the black community, then unambiguous that black community are not understanding that, when you see something that you've never seen before, it kind of stays with you. Like, whatever, right? Think that, oh, I want to look like this. I want my offspring to look like this. I feel like people are not registering that people are like, it's almost like I've heard, this thing of men saying that they want to try all the flavors and stuff like that, right? Dehumanizing, yes, right? But I think that's kind of, I guess, a dumbed down way of saying that they want to experience and admire and whatever, you know, different types of people and different phenotypes and things like that. But yeah, this was a little bit of a mess. But what was my point? What was the moral of the story? Men are fickle. I don't know why women are still, particularly dark skin, unambiguous black women, are still raging and so upset about different nameless, faceless, who cares, dark skinned men who are like, oh, I only like light skinned women, or not. They don't even have to say it at this point. Like, they just see, oh, he must like light skinned women. Like, it's so weird. Yeah, like, I don't understand when, once again, men will literally sleep with anything. Please remember that there are men out here right now, as we speak, are sleeping with sheep, um and anyone they can find. Please remember that. Anyways, that was it. Yeah, love you guys. Please like, please subscribe. Bye. Mwah.